Hey everybody, this is Spencer from Pixel and Bracket, and in this tutorial, I'm going to teach you how to create the ESPN app icon in Adobe Illustrator.
Now let me introduce to y'all, it's the one son of a musician refused to fall.
You guys might recognize this app icon from your phones. It's the ESPN app icon, so all credit goes to them, but we're going to recreate it because I think there's some skills and tricks you can pick up from this, and it's a fairly simple flat logo to redesign. So let's get started. I've got opened up, if you go to File, New, just a 1920 by 1080 canvas in RGB color mode. And go ahead and hide this layer and pretend like we started with a new document. Okay, so this is our document here. And I want to go ahead and select the rectangle tool and click on the canvas. And it'll allow us to create a rectangle at a specific size. Let's go 1920 by 1080. And this is just going to give us a little background color. And instead of black, we might end up with that. Oop, there we go. We might end up there, but for now, let's go with more of a, maybe a 20%, like a gray tone. And no stroke, and then I'm gonna make sure that this lines up, aligned to the artboard, and we'll do center and vertical. And we should be good. I'm gonna lock that in with Command 2. Or Control 2 on a PC, Windows. If you guys are on Windows, anytime I say Command, it's going to be Control, and anytime I say Option, it's going to be Alt. So just replace those two, and you should be able to use any shortcut keys that I talk about. So let's get started. First thing we want is to develop the actual icon shape. So we're going to create another rectangle. Click anywhere on the canvas here. This one we're going to make 570 by 570. Now you may ask, why 570? That's because Apple gives a ratio of rounded corners to the height and width of 57 to 10, which means at 570 we're going to round our corners to 100 pixels. So I've created this rectangle here. I'm going to go back to my selection tool and I'm going to select that rectangle. Let's make it white, just a pearly white. And then you can grab these corners and bring them in, but we're going to want to do a very specific, just 100 pixel radius. So if you're updated with Creative Cloud or later versions, you can use the direct selection tool and it'll give you this little corners, live corners option dialog up here. You can change that to 100 pixels, but let's go ahead and do this for anybody else that might be on any version. Click on your rectangle, go to Effect, and from there we'll go to Stylize round corners, and we can determine the radius we want there. We can preview it if we want. That looks great. Hit OK, and now we have our round corners. One caveat here: make sure after you do that, for our shadow later, we're going to want to go ahead and go to Object, Expand Appearance on this guy, and that'll basically lock in those corners and allow us to utilize them later. So we've got our actual shape of our icon set up. Let's go ahead and center that up with the align tools again, vertical and horizontal align. And for now, we'll just leave that there. So next we're gonna create some more rectangles, and we're gonna actually build the E shape. And for that, I'm gonna first select just the basic CMYK red color. I said RGB mode, I know, but this is just one of the basic swatches. You can just grab that, it'll be fine. And then we'll go to the rectangle tool. Let's create a rectangle that is, I don't know, how about, let's see, what are we, width? How about 300 width and 100 height? We'll see what that does. That's perfect. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to the selection tool, grab a hold of this, and we're gonna duplicate this guy a couple of times, actually. So hold Option or Alt on a PC, hold Option, and also grab and hold Shift to drag it straight down. I'm going to do the same thing again, hold Option, Shift, drag it down, and then I'm going to create a couple more duplicates out here. I think I'm going to need 1, 2 more over here. Okay, so you see we're already getting close, right? Already looks like ESPN. So one thing to note, that there's a lot of purple lines that you're seeing, like pink lines and stuff, arrows and things like that. That's smart guides, and you're going to want to have those turned on. So go up here to your view drop down and then find smart guides. That's Command U to turn those on. So the reason I want you to turn those on is because I'm just going to go ahead and line up these guys all with each other. And then I'm going to click on the center one And actually, let's go over here to our other guys. So I'm gonna do a 40% version, an 80% version, and a 120% version. So this first guy over here, and I'll explain all those here in a second. We're gonna use him, go up to transform. You may see this window panel already laid out, or you can click transform, and we're actually gonna change the height of it. The height is gonna be 40%, 80%, and 120%. And the way I do that is you can actually do math within this dialog box. So if I hit the multiplication button, just like the star there, you can see that. It's going to say take 100 pixels and times it by something. So to get a 40% version, I want to times it by 0.40. Now I don't actually need the zeros there, but I do need the 0.4. I just wanted to show you guys how to do that. So if I hit enter, voila, that's a 40% height of my original shape. So now I'm going to click on this other one, and let's see, we want this one to actually be the 120% version. So that's going to be times 1.20 for those who are picky. And that's a little bit thicker of a rectangle, or actually taller of a rectangle. And then this center one here, that's the one we're going to have at 80%. So we'll go transform, and the height again is times 0.8. All right, perfect. So this is going to be top and bottom of the E. This will be the middle of the E. This guy we're going to use to sort of line up each of these. So I'm going to click on this top one, and then click on, let's go ahead and select these two bottom rectangles. And then if I just drag this down until it lines up with the bottom of that, that's perfect. So I lined this up with the bottom of this top rectangle, and then lined the bottom of this with the top of the middle one. We're just using this guy as a spacer right now. So now I can bring him down, hold shift to keep him in place. Make sure he's lined up to the bottom of that middle shape. Now click on the bottom shape, and we're going to drag it down until it lines up as well. Perfect. Okay, next we're going to we can actually get rid of that spacer, because this is the spacing that we want. What we want to do now is actually take this guy and rotate him, and hold shift while you rotate. To do that, I just hovered over the corner here until you get the double-ended sort of round arrow look, and you can click and drag and rotate this guy around. If you hold shift, it'll lock it into 45-degree angles. Let's go ahead and rotate it so it's a vertical orientation instead of horizontal. Then I'm just going to drag this over here, and I'm going to line it up with the lower left-hand corner of the bottom shape. Once I do that, it's a little bit taller. I mean, we have a regular E, but that, trademark ESPN look has that line kind of all the way through the top here. So I'm just going to click this rectangle, and we're going to drag him down until it matches up with the top of the middle one. Awesome. So we are getting pretty close here. The one thing that they do have going for them is like a little, it's kind of like an italicized E, right? So let's go ahead and select all of these shapes, and let's group these all together, but not like really group, like let's merge them together. So we'll go to Pathfinder. If you don't have that over here, it's under Window, and then if you come down here, you'll find Pathfinder. Go into Pathfinder, and we're gonna just click the first one. It's called Unite. It'll merge everything together that you have selected. Perfect. Now we have just this one like compound shape, and we can affect this with any sort of filters, effects, things like that all at once. So we are going to draw one more rectangle. This one is actually this is going to be a square. So let's select a different color, maybe like a blue color, something that's different than the E. We'll select this rectangle tool here. I'm going to go in the upper right hand corner of our E, click and drag, and I can start to create any shape of rectangle here. But in order for me to create a square, a perfect square, hold shift, and that'll be proportionate. I'm going to create it so it's the height of the E. So I'm going to come down here until it snaps to the bottom of the E, and it's not doing that very well. So I'm just going to let go and create it, and then we'll go back, grab our selection tool. That is, the selection tool is shortcut key V, in case you were wondering. So I'm going to zoom in here on this guy, click the blue square, and then come down here into the corner. We don't want the rounded double arrow, we want the sort of 45-degree angle double arrow. This will allow us to sort of reshape this guy again, but I want to hold shift on this. And I'm going to actually drag him up a little bit so I can see the bottom, and then I'm going to drag him back down, all while holding shift, so we keep that proportion of a square until it lines up. There we go. Now it's snapping in. Sometimes smart guides don't quite see it the first time around. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is actually send this guy behind our E. We'll do that by just moving him to the side. You can hold shift to make sure it stays in line. Grab the E, right click, arrange, bring to front. Now I'm going to drag him back and hold shift until he snaps to the right side of the E. Perfect. Okay, so what we've developed here is sort of a guide for us to italicize this E. So if I grab the E now, just select him and then come over here to the free transform tool, and that's E. Coincidentally enough, that is E as a shortcut key. Make sure that when this little window pops open, you have it on the free transform icon here, have that selected. Now what I'm going to do is come down here where this thing looks like a, I don't know, 4-way stop arrow thing. I don't know what you call that. It's like a cross arrow. And if you grab that, you can scale and skew this E all over the place. But if you hold shift, always hold shift, you guys, that'll actually lock it into the height and it'll allow us to just scale it and tweak it without changing the height. So if we just move this over until he kind of snaps into the bottom corner of this, and he might not, it doesn't look like it's snapping in, so just get it close. It's not a perfect science. And then we'll let go. That is our italicized E. We can now delete that blue shape just by clicking and deleting on it. So we've got that E look, perfect. All right, let's go ahead and take him, and we're gonna shift click on the app icon. So I selected this, shift clicked on this, now I got both. I'm gonna click again, I let go of shift, I'm gonna click again on that app icon. Big old red stroke around it, that means, hey, it's a key object now. In fact, even the transform says align to key object. We can do horizontal, vertical, and that'll align whatever else we had selected to this shape. Now it looks like our E's a little bit big for the app icon, so I'm going to click on it, get that sort of 45, the double-ended kind of 45-degree arrow, and then I'm going to click and hold shift and option to skew it from the center out, but proportionally, because we're holding shift. So I'm just going to scale that down a little bit, let go. That looks a little bit better. Okay, so from here, all we have left to do is the long shadow. And that's pretty easy. We're going to use the blend tool, which is probably the most complicated tool of all the ones we've used so far in this tutorial, but it's not that hard. I'll walk you through it. So we're going to duplicate this by going to edit, copy, and then edit, paste in place, which is shift command V. So I've pasted it in place. If you don't believe me, look, there's another one. Okay, so we're going to click the top one, and let's change the color of it to just black. And now we're actually going to create one more. So the way the blend tool works is it takes one shape and then sees the other shape and just merges between, which is what we're going to do to create a shadow. So what I want to do here is I'm going to have that E selected, the top one with the black, hold option, click, and now I can sort of create a duplicate. If I hold shift, it'll allow me to kind of lock in a direction. We're going to lock in 45 degrees, and I'm going to make sure I drag this outside of the app icon shape. So I'm gonna let go down here. Now I've got an E from our origin point here, original spot here, and I've got the E down here. So what I want to do is just click on this, shift click on this, so I got both of them selected. Go up to Object, Blend, Blend Options. From here, I'm gonna specify a distance, 1 pixel, and then first orientation will work here. I believe it's, I don't remember what it's called, Align to Page. So hit OK, and nothing happens yet because we'd have to make the blend. So go back up to Object, Blend, Make. And now we have this merge of this shape, and it's actually created like a shadow layer for us. Next thing we want to do is actually click on the app icon and then go up to Edit, and we'll copy, and then we'll paste in place again, which is once again Shift Command V. And that's going to paste it in place on top, which is perfect. So I'm going to grab that top one, shift click on the shadow. Now I've got them both selected. We're going to right click anywhere on anywhere on this selection, make clipping mask. Now we've got a shadow layer that's clipped inside of our rounded corners. If you're not seeing this corner rounded, that means you probably missed expanding the shape earlier when I told you to do that. So just undo a couple times, expand that shape, and then redo that, and it'll work just fine. So anyway, we've got this layer and we've got this layer, these two layers or these two objects underneath it. So I'm gonna undo that. This layer is on top. We're gonna actually send him behind. So let's go to the layers panel. It's a little bit easier. Just kind of drop this down. Notice we have the clipping group, we have the E, we have the path, and then the background, which is locked. We just take that clipping group and drag him underneath the E. Perfect. But I'd say that shadow is a little harsh for the, what they designed on their icon. So we'll take this opacity down. You can click on that clipping group, this shadow layer here, the mask, and then under opacity up here, just go to 10%. We'll just go to 10%. That's it right there. Awesome. So that is the ESPN app icon. Last thing I'll do is hit Command Option 2 to unlock the background, and we'll take it to like a, I don't know, dark blackish color, maybe like a 90% black or something. There we go. So that is the ESPN app icon. I hope you guys learned a little bit doing this tutorial. Hope it wasn't too hard. If you have any questions, suggestions, comments, whatever, just post them down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more tips and tutorials. Oh, by the way, basketball. Basketball is my favorite sport. Here we go. There we go. Got it. I'm not going to hit this time. Hey, I'll see you guys later.